Hello, and welcome to What's Your Story? I'm so happy to have you here with us again today. We have a visionary force with us today. Her name is Keely. Keely Pierce, and Keely's been with us before, and so maybe you've seen her on the show before. But she is the CEO of I Am More Academy. Kind of goes with what I believe about all of us being more. She is the CEO of I Am More Academy, where empowerment knows no bounds. And she was the founder of this organization. And as the founder and CEO, Keely's journey is one of passion, dedication, and a relentless drive to uplift both seasoned entrepreneurs and the next generation alike. So, with a heart deeply rooted in the transformative power of education, Keely's mission extends beyond business prowess to touch the lives of young adults navigating the delicate terrain of growth and self-discovery. She's been with us before. Let's welcome her back, Keely Pierce. Keely, welcome, welcome.
Hi, Judy. How are you? How's
No,
things?
good. So nice to see you. You know, when you were here the last time, we talked about your coaching and you're working with adults. But today I want to talk to you about the youth, the young people that you work with. How young are these people?
So predominantly it's secondary school here in the UK. So that is year seven through to potentially sixth form if you're in a secondary school. And sometimes that can extend on to college and A levels. So realistically, the age range is anything between, I'd probably say 11 years old and up to 24-ish sometimes.
Yes. So teenagers and young adults. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now I know what we're dealing with to ask you the right questions, right? So, how do you define empowerment? And what I'm interested in is why it's important for young adults to feel like they've been empowered and for them to embrace it.
I think from such a young age, we are told to have a voice, but then also told to sit down, be quiet, and do as you're told.
Yes.
And I mean, I can be completely guilty of this. I've got a 12-year-old, and sometimes I'm like, just do as you're told. But you want them to have that stage, to feel empowered, to feel like they can have a say, to have their voice heard. And so for me, the empowerment side is like, own your story. It doesn't matter about what we've been through, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whatever is going on for us, to have that confidence to be like, this is who I am. And this is what I actually have a passion or an interest in. And this is what I want to do. And to be able to be heard, really. So empowerment for me at this age, in adolescence especially, I feel is key to that fundamental identity that we're searching for at that age.
So they need to feel like somebody's listening to them, someone's hearing not only what they're saying, but what they're feeling. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I think we're all
Absolutely.
desperate for connection, no matter what age we are. And I feel this age in particular can be kind of those core elements that mold us as a human and as an adult.
Yes, yes. So, what strategies do you employ to build trust and rapport with students?
To be human, to be me, to just be not the academic person who's had a degree to stand in front of them, but to be a real person, to show my own vulnerabilities and that, they're not alone on their journey, or to share stories of people I know who may have been through similar to what they have, so that they just don't feel like it's this big bad world out there. And I love, like, especially when a teacher tells me there's like a tricky child who may be either super, super quiet or super, super, we could call it clown of the class, or we could call it disruptor, we could call it whatever the names are. And they're the children that I love breaking the most. And I say breaking in the nicest way possible. If I can get their attention, if I can make them feel validated, I know I've got them. And I know that the impact is going to be so much more profound. So I think of it as like a little game sort of thing for me. It's kind of like, how can I really be on their level to make them feel like I'm on their side and not be false or fake in any way? It's kind of, I'm happy to show my vulnerabilities.
Yeah, they can tell authenticity, can't they? I think the younger they are, the more aware they are of how real we are.
Yes, you are so right. So right indeed.
So, Can you give us examples of some maybe of the past workshops that you've done or the mentorship programs that you've conducted in schools and the impact that they've had on students' emotional well-being and on their motivation?
Yeah, so it kind of started off that I just felt like I knew I wanted to see a change in the education system. And don't get me wrong, teachers do a phenomenal job. You know, I take my hat off to any teacher. It's a very hard job, no matter what age the child is. And in a certain respect, they're quite limited to what they can do because they already give more and more. And there's only so much they have themselves because life balance for teachers, I don't feel is particularly very balanced, should we say. And so to then say to them, you need to give more, it's like, well, what is more? So for me to go in and say, okay, well, let me take some of the burden away. Let me do the other stuff that isn't your standard curriculum, that isn't the expected, you know, how they're going to achieve their grades and their exams, etc. And I go in and I'll either do like a workshop. So here in the UK, they have like drop down days where they have whether it's careers things come in or different kind of life skills and different stuff that they have external people come into school. And I can go in and I'll do, well, I suppose the most popular one is like people skills and communication. So I do a lot around how to understand people, talk in people's language, and how in child's term, it's like, do you want to get your own way? Because if you can understand this, you are going to get so much more of what you want in such an easy way to do it. And that leads into then body language and how body language can like 10 times your confidence and how to feel less rejection and all of those things. So it could be like a one-off workshop like that. Or it could be where I work with a specific group, usually a smaller group, and that will be for a prolonged period of time. And the impact that's with that is like, you become their safe adult. You become their emotionally secure adult, someone that they know they've built that trust with. They know they can share with you. They know they can kind of relate with you. And when you're talking with those children, you can get so much more of an impact. So one particular child, for example, random conversation that led to her disclosing that her parent was in a domestic abuse relationship. And actually, the mum had come away from that. They were safe. They were all good. But obviously, the impact that had. And then as we kind of were going through our conversation, we were talking about her own relationship. And she was only 14 and she'd been with this boy for 2 years, but how their lives were just the two of them and how all friends seem to have disappeared. And we talked about what is healthy. Is he actually more of a comfort blanket? We talked about all different ideas and thoughts and how she broke up with him numerous times, but kept finding that she was just going back. And so anyway, I kind of hadn't seen them because of the holidays. And I'd gone back into this session and she said, you will be so proud of me. And I was like, oh, tell me. And she said, I broke up with him and I've said no. And I've got these boundaries and I've been speaking to my other friends and doing more with my other friends. So when he come back to me, I was like, no. And I stayed firm. And so just from that one conversation, I've highlighted what could be perceived as a toxic relationship, an
Yeah.
unhealthy relationship. And I think at what, 14 years old, how amazing could that be moving forward,
Mm.
throughout her life and the impact that will have. So it can be little conversations that aren't necessarily specific to what I'm going in to teach, but it's that wholesome effect and ripple effect that the sessions have.
Now, do these discussions take place privately, or do you sometimes do it in the group? Do you talk about lack of friends, versus being with just one other person in a group setting as well, or not?
I'm completely student led. As much as I'll say I'm going in to do this topic, if the topic goes in a direction, I will be led by the students. And sometimes it will pique interest and hands might go up or other people might just throw in their comments and the whole tangent can lead into a whole different like direction. So sometimes it is a class and we can have those conversations and the class will be engaged and people will have thoughts and ideas. Or in this particular situation, it was a group of, I think there was 6 or 7 students that I'd had as this mentorship program. And because we had built this safety this
Mhm.
feeling safe, feeling heard, feeling validated, and all of the things that they need. This girl was happy to open up and share openly in the group because I think we'd built that foundation at the beginning.
That has to have an impact on their emotional well-being and their motivation, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. We've come out of conversations where it's kind of like, oh, well, I don't really have any aspirations for my career or my life particularly. I'm just going to work in Tesco's, which there's nothing wrong with that. But from conversations that have just naturally led on, it's kind of the understanding of the big world, the reality of when you leave school, what is available. And sometimes you could say, you could go and sell kitchens and it'd be like, oh, that's a rubbish job. And then I say, oh, but you could earn 50, 60, 70,000 pounds. And they go, what? So, kind of not really understanding what is out there and what is available is just, again, that knowledge is power, and anything that they kind of want to bring to the table is what we explore together.
Mm, mm. So, how do you measure the success and effectiveness of your coaching programs in terms of student outcomes and overall school culture?
I think a huge part of where I found myself at the moment, we have a cohort of students called alternative provision. I'm not sure if it's the same in the US, but we have the school system are very low tolerant these days of children with behavioral difficulties, what their boundaries are of acceptance, should we say. So children are kicked out of mainstream education quite quickly now compared to maybe a few years ago or when I was at school. And these students then get put into what we call alternative provision. And with that, I think a lot of the children's trauma, even of just moving school, can be a trauma, and quite a big trauma, and the change in their environment. It's really important to take that trauma informed practice with you. So sometimes when you're understanding the impact, it could be just the fact that this student in particular uses their get out of jail card, oh, it's too much, I'm done, I'm going to leave the classroom and have a break. And they use that quite frequently. Whereas when I do my sessions, they'll openly say, if I don't want to be here, I'll just leave. And they will stay with me for like 2 hours. And some teachers will comment on, you're doing really well to keep them in the session for that long. To me, that is a huge measure. They have a choice to be with me. And if they choose to be with me because they're getting value and interest and all of the things that they need, then it's ticking all of their kind of their boxes. So for me, the measurement sometimes is a little bit more behavioral than it is pen to paper and exam exercise, for example.
Right, exactly, exactly. Now, do you do this only in the UK or do you do this in other places as well? I mean,
At the
like
moment,
say if a school in America wanted you to come, would you come?
absolutely. Absolutely. And at the moment, I seem to have this like pull with America at the moment. So literally 2 weeks ago, I was in New York on another TV show, which was amazing and kind of mixing with lots of people in kind of different global stages and platforms. And for me, the big vision really is to have a charity. So I run a charity already for the past 9 years, which is a very different area. But if I was to set up a charity to support my business that was global, that could have that global impact, or if somebody wants to just bring me over, then they are more than welcome to. But yeah, there is a whole kind of world out there that is desperate for all of this, not just the UK, and I'm totally there for it.
Yeah, I think it's very possible that you could globally train other people to do what you do and have an organization worldwide because this is so needed. This is so needed. I know when I was in what we call junior high school, I think you call it middle school, I'm not sure. I know in Africa they call it middle school. Um, I went to 17 schools during that 3 years. And luckily, by the time I got to be a junior in high school, the last 2 years of high school, we were in one place for 2 years. So I was very secure those last 2 years. But I know when you change schools 17 times in 3 years, it's very, very hard on you emotionally. And you don't, well, I learned to make friends real fast. And and I still have some of those friends that were only friends for a short time back then. But I see kids today when they have to move like that, or when they change schools, or even when they change curriculum in schools, they have a tough time. They have a really, it's harder to be a kid today, I think, than it was when I was growing up.
It's so hard. And even with my daughter is 12, and so she's in the first year of what we call secondary school, and it feels like a fight. It feels like a fight for not just her, but her peers. And she'd come into this school not really having any friends because she'd come away from her other school completely. And not only is it about making those friendships, but you just see not necessarily the damage. Maybe damage is the wrong word, but the children are screaming for connection. They are crying out for connection. And the ways that they do it isn't nice. You know, it's kind of, it's really, really hard. And I wouldn't want to be a teenager again. And social media is a whole nother ball game, and it's so difficult. And all I try to do is armor my child with the knowledge to understand why other people might be behaving the way they are. But it doesn't make it okay. And it doesn't mean it doesn't upset her. And it's really difficult to navigate, you know, having my child at this age and stage, let alone the work that I do. I mean, I take it as a positive that I can support her, but I wouldn't necessarily want to literally be her, if that makes sense. You know,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
the whole school process now is very, very hard for all children, let alone changing schools 17 times. That's mind blowing. Mind
yeah.
blowing.
It was, well, it was necessary, you know, due to my father's work, but it was just, it was just, you know, stop and think about it. In 3 years, it was just like, what? I didn't even find the classrooms in some schools before it was time to leave, you know. And do you know that even to this day, as old as I am, I wake up in the night with a nightmare because I'm looking for this algebra class.
Mm,
And you wouldn't believe it would affect somebody for that long. And yet
yeah.
I'll be dreaming, and I will wake up because I was looking for this class and couldn't find it. And I just find that, you know, I like being older because I can look back on all the things that happened in my life and how they affected me, and what that did. You know, you don't, when you're younger, you don't really look at it and say, "Oh, this happened and it affected me this way," you know. And it's
Yeah.
kind of cool because now, you know, I teach at the university now, so I get a lot of young people in class, and I have an art class full of 20-year-olds right now, and it is so fun because they're just fascinated with the fact that I'm old, you know, and they want to know all these things that I know and I'm supposed to share with them. And I find that really amazing because I know when I was younger, I wasn't real interested in older people. I was like, no, they're old. What do they know? You know, but
But I do think from listening to you speak, I would say you are a fantastic storyteller. So I imagine when you've shared even snippets, the way you've shared it, they're intrigued. So I would say it's your charisma and personality. And again, probably an essence of showing some of your vulnerabilities that makes them engaged with the work that you do.
thank you. Thank you. I didn't mean to be talking about me. We're supposed to be
No,
talking about
no.
you.
No,
But
but
thank you
it's
for
a
the
conversation,
compliment.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's important for people to realize that if they will, if they will make an effort to be a little entertaining with younger people, it's amazing how much more attention they'll get. And you know what I like that you said a minute ago? Um, oh wait, how did you say it? It was so cool. It was like, oh, I've lost it. I'm so sorry, but I basically got from what you said that you were. Giving them the opportunity to choose, you know, to choose how they behave, and to choose if they are going to accept what you offer. And
Mm.
I like that because it's, you know, they can choose whether or not they're going to be right. Or, oh, you said how to get what you want. That's what I liked about it. You said that you teach them how to get what you want, you know. And of course in communication skills we all know that you have to do and say the right things to get what you want. And when you said that, it hit me because I thought, wow, what a way to get to kids, let me give you the secret of getting what you want all the
Yeah,
time. I mean, I
absolutely.
pay attention to that even now, but and as a teenager, I would have really paid attention to that.
And that's the key, isn't it? It's talking their language. So even from like an adult coaching and business coaching perspective, I love to share the personality types and what they mean and how they work, because it's just the same. How do you get what you want in life? And ultimately, we all give and receive, but we still want what we want, don't we? And we want to get it our way, not the highway. And so when I go in and speak to kids, I was like, you could call it manipulation, or you could call it really effective communication.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of, knowledge is power. And the more I can teach you, the more you're going to understand. So when I talk about body language, and I'll talk to them in more a careers aspect and doing interviews, for example, and I'll give them a real life story on how I use that to myself. But I'll turn it around and say, but what about if you use this in dating? Now, is anyone interested in dating or relationships? Because it's the same thing. And you can use these same things as you do in an interview to get what you want, as you can in a dating perspective. And all of a sudden, the fact that I've put the word dating in there, they've got full attention. And I
Oh,
think, yeah, because everybody's interested in that at their age. It's all the rage, isn't it? So it just gets that attention, and then they take it on board because they go, and I've had sessions where they've come back and it's like they've changed over the workshops. And so sometimes I'll have 3-4 workshops in a day in a school to cover the year group, and they'll come in from lunch and they'll go, are we doing this thing? And I go, oh, been talking in the playground, have we? And so I know that the message is got there because they're talking about it on their break, which is amazing, and it just lights me up.
oh yes, I would think so. It's wonderful. But
Thank
but that's so smart of you because I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to reach them, and you reach them by speaking their language or speaking a language that they're interested in, with the things that they're interested in. And I mean, even I'm interested in dating. I mean, and I'm old. So I think most kids would really like that.
Yeah, exactly. And again, storytelling is amazing. Storytelling is like a huge thing. And I don't know if you're aware of the Harry Potter series and the cast in Harry Potter, which obviously most people do. Well, I
Yeah.
met Malfoy, one of the characters from Harry
Ooh.
Potter, at 4 a.m. in a hotel. But I was at a conference, I was at an event. So I get to talk about me doing personal development and how important that is. And then I just throw in there like, oh, and I met this Harry Potter star. I don't know if you know him. And then sometimes I'll like show a picture or whatever it is. And again, I've captured that whole
Mm.
essence, but the message being about I've invested in myself. I'm learning things to take me to the next level, depending on what that might be.
Yeah, and I think that's so good when people can look at us and see that we invest in ourselves, then they want to invest in themselves. And it's not wrong to want to invest in yourself. In fact, it's very, very smart. Uh, I remember early on, my dad said, always put as much money as you possibly can into your education because the more you learn, the more you know. That's knowledge that no one can take from you. And you'll have that forever and you'll be able to get along in life. And it was so powerful. And I love what you're doing with these kids. So if someone would like to find out more about it, more about what you're doing, how would they do that?
By all means, come over to my website. So it's www.iam-more.co.uk. And on there, you've got the contact form. You can come and find me. There's all the social media icons. Or if anybody's on the LinkedIn platform, you can find me under Keely Pierce. Or Instagram, you can find me as I Am More Coach. So I'm quite stalkable. I make it that I'm quite stalkable. You
I
can find me all over the place. Even if you
like,
just Google my name, you will find me. So yes, I like to be stalkable.
Keely, was there anything or is there anything that you would like to share about what you do that I didn't ask you? Something that you think is very, very important for the people out there to know that perhaps I missed and didn't cover?
I wouldn't say there's anything particularly missed, but I suppose the element that I'm happy to share is kind of the reason the mission come around. And for me, it's really important. And I think I said at the very beginning to own your story. And the business is called I Am More Academy because for me, my upbringing, my mum was a drug addict. We kind of experienced crime, neglect, poverty, all of the typical kind of things that you would expect. And for many, many years, I sat in shame around that. I was ashamed of my upbringing and the situations. And then through lots of personal development, investing in myself, along with some therapy, I won't lie, I got to a point where it was like, but that's made me who I am today. And if I didn't experience that, I wouldn't be on the mission that I'm on right now.
Mhm.
And so when I go into schools, I'm very open and honest about my journey and the reason that I founded I Am More Academy. And I share that you are more than your parents, you are more than your situation, and you are more than enough. And life is literally there for the taking. And we can sit there and feel embarrassed, ashamed, or sometimes even a victim of our upbringing. But everything in life is a choice. And for me, when I was about 15, I just knew that I had a choice. It was very easy to fall into everything I'd experienced as a child because it would be expected ultimately. But actually, I knew I wanted more. I knew I didn't want that for my children. And so for me, I made a decision to go out and get the jobs and work towards my goals. And just, I never knew what I wanted to do when I grew up until I got to about the age of 34. And I think the pressure sometimes to know what you want to do is so, so hard at a young age. And I just think, say yes, work it out after. Say yes to life, work it out after. As much as it scares you, as much as it worries you, freaks you out, whatever it is, just say yes, work it out, because you never know what opportunities or doors could open from one thing that you said yes to.
That is amazing. I mean, I'm almost just holding my breath because you're so right. You are so amazing. I love having you as a guest on the show. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you'll come back again soon. And let's just do it again and again. That would be cool.
I'd love to be back. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the time, and getting to share the message, because ultimately I'm here to work with hundreds and thousands of people to make an impact. And that's my mission in life. So thank you for the platform, Judy.
And you're doing that. You are making an impact. So thank you. And thank you for being here with us today. We so appreciate it. We have some of the most phenomenal guests, as you could tell by Keely being here today and the other guests that we have. They make such a difference in the world. And that's what we're here for, isn't it? To make our world a better place for those who follow us. So thank you for being with us. And thanks to Keely for being on What's Your Story. And if you have a story that you'd like to share, contact me, Judy Morio at WWDBTV Las Vegas.